Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, look, this looks like it's a little slanted there. So I'm gonna keep this one rather quick, just because I got a few things to do tonight. But I saw this interesting tweet and thought I wanted to talk about it real quick. So, for those of you who just hopped on, thank you. Please get the likes up, tag anybody on this conversation who you think may find it interesting. So okay, just to get right into the topic. So I'm a low key trolling with this title a bit. Jesus had 4C hair, so black woman should embrace their natural. But quite honestly, many of us have heard it. The colorism texturism conversation, and there's I personally believe and see all the time that like there's just is still many black women who just do not feel comfortable with their own hair. And to be fair, this is not a specific like there's a little bit of a okay. This is not an issue that only black women deal with. Like to be real, like women period are usually hating on their hair. But I do feel like in particular this impacts black women the most in American society. I mean, for multiple reasons. Like obviously you live in a racist society, there's going to be implications to that. But on top of that, it's like, I mean, there is a multi-million dollar, if not billion dollar industry that is dedicated to black women, really changing their hair texture. And so I saw this tweet from gosh, what's her name? It's T.I.'s daughter. It is Deja Harris, and it kind of it went viral. There's a lot of people who talked about it and who addressed it, but she basically talks about how she hated her hair texture. And I thought I appreciate her being honest, because I feel like there's very many women who do share her sentiment. So I'm going to bring it up really quick and just go over it. Let me see. Okay, see if I can share it. Okay. I'm seeing if I can share it. Also, for those of you who just hopped on, thank you. Also, if you want to show some support to this channel, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, ChezCharde. Let me share this tweet that I saw, and we're gonna go right into it. Let's see. Okay. Now, hopefully, you guys. Okay, I think you guys can see it. So yeah, so for those of you who just hopped on, I was saying I saw this tweet that Deja Harris, I guess Ti's daughter, posted about the hate of her own 4C hair. And it caused, quite a ruckus or quite caused, a conversation on Black Twitter, of course. And I wanted to highlight it because I think she really touches upon just a few mindsets and a few struggles that Black women in general have in the community. So reading through it, she says, okay, I hate to admit it, but I'm so sad that I have my dad's hair texture. Sad because it's so much to deal with, manage. Ugh. Sad because I feel like it just doesn't fit me, nor is this texture one that's appreciated or uplifted as much as the other hair textures. So here she is saying that basically, her 4C hair, as she mentions in other tweets, she just doesn't like it. She thinks it's hard to manage, but even more importantly, she feels as if it's not appreciated. She doesn't feel beautiful in her own natural hair. She does not feel beautiful in her own natural hair. She doesn't like her texture. She doesn't think it's appreciated, and she wishes it was different. Okay, and then if we move forward, it says, anytime I see someone with type 4 hair, I always compliment them because I know how it feels to genuinely not like your hair texture. I never want anyone to feel like that. It looks so bomb on other people, but me, yeah, no. So she's saying that she doesn't like 4C hair, but she thinks she likes it on other people. I mean, I don't fully understand it, but and then of course, we see a few people here who chime in. This one user says, I used to texturize my hair as a kid, but I transitioned to natural, but I never cut my hair, so it did what it did. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, any tips? Here's this girl talking about any tips. I've been natural for a year now, and I'm struggling. It still feels like the struggle is real. And then you had a few haters. You had a few who haters. Let me see. Well, here's one person says, I feel you. The anxiety I get when I wear my type 4 natural hair out, I feel like people think I look crazy. That's why I rarely wear it out. So here's a black woman here talking about she doesn't like to wear her natural hair out because she feels like she looks crazy with her natural hair. Um, Now here's one woman say, why do blacks constantly come to social platforms to say this? It's so embarrassing. Okay. Um, so it says, so in order for you to like your hair, you need other people to tell you it's pretty or uplift you about it. Like for real. Um, this one, she was hating. She's like, this mindset, girl, this mindset is so and she's trying to be a spiritual healer or whatever. Heal yourself first. Peace. So basically case in point, you had a whole bunch of different women who were hating. Some who were just like, yeah, I agree, like I don't like wearing my natural hair. Many of them who said that, many who also echo concerns where it's just like, I've been trying to do natural and the struggle is real, like I don't know how to handle this. um and then you had a few haters. But the interesting thing about it, oftentimes, at least from what I've seen, the many pictures that I've seen with her, she is wearing, some kind of lace front. Edges are laid. Some weave, whatever she has is laid, and it is very much not. It's not consistent with the hair that actually grows out of her head. And I think this is an important issue, or not important issue, but this is a constant issue that we see among Black women in the Black community, right? There's just this whole idea of just hating our hair. And of course, we can talk about why, the different reasons why. I've heard everything from, texturism to the racism to colorism to, Black men not liking natural hair, to Black women preferring straight hair, to, I mean, all the different things, so women not feeling comfortable. So of course there's so many different reasons that Black women struggle with this idea of just wearing their own hair naturally. But I will say for myself, I think it is incredibly important for whatever kind of hair a woman has, especially Black women, to just embrace it and to know that, like, God did not make a mistake. And the reason I put this title, Jesus had 4C hair, so embrace your natural, is quite literally, especially for those women who claim to be a Christian or those women who claim to serve God or whatever. It's like, there's no way, like, how can you be somebody that says, okay, you serve God or you're a Christian or whatever, and hate the hair that God gave you, when your hair literally is the same hair that Jesus had? Like, quite literally. I mean, if you want to be technical, it said his hair was like lamb's wool. That's what it says. So, like, if you're that line of thought, you know what I mean? If you are a woman who is a Christian or a Christ follower, you hating your hair, if you have 4C hair, that's like you literally hating the hair that Jesus had. Literally said his hair was like wool, his skin was like burnt bronze. But I mean, I'm not trying to make this a theological debate. Like I said, I was just low key trolling with that title. But I think what's more important is, why are there so many women who just don't feel comfortable with what grows out of their head? I think that's like a big problem. And God didn't make a mistake. Like, God didn't make the mistake with how He made a person. Like, He didn't make a mistake with how He created somebody's hair. And it is sad to me to see women who only feel beautiful not when they're not being themselves, when they're hiding what actually grows from their roots, what actually grows from their head. And I think that's wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong. There's something wrong with wanting to try different hairstyles, wanting to have fun or experiment. But I think when that's motivated from self-hate or shaming of your own particular texture, or when it's motivated from the fact of, like, I'm afraid of people actually seeing what grows out of my head naturally, that's a sad place to be. That's a really sad place to be. And it's unfortunate that there is a industry that profits off of women's self-hate, but it does exist. So I would say God don't make no mistakes. And for a person to hate themselves is to really hate what God created. And I think that's that in of itself is a problem. But second to that, it's like, I don't know. I think I just wish there was more of a conversation about, okay, instead of feeling like we have to hide behind these certain hairstyles or behind these certain looks, what would it actually really take to be like, okay, we don't want to feed into this lie. Because I'm like I said, if you're getting a lace front or a weave every single day or every single week or whatever, just because you feel uncomfortable with what goes out of your head, um, when you're getting that, you getting your ledges aid, you know your ledges edges laid. You know what I mean? You're getting that next lace front, whatever it may be. Like at that point, I really feel like you are feeding a sickness. And if there is an entire group of women who do not feel comfortable with the own hair that comes out of their head, that is sick. That is not anything to be celebrated. That is not anything to be minimized. That's sad. And like I said, there is a general, yes, there is a general thing that like I think women by and large are always going to complain about something. That's just female nature to a certain extent. They're always going to find something about their body to nitpick, but this impacts women of color the worst. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that, oh, this is the fault of the black man, which I hear. I don't know why, but I hear more times than not that the reason black women don't like their own hair is because black women, or that because black men don't like natural hair, which I just think that's totally and completely false, because I have heard countless and countless and countless men say over and over again that they prefer women with natural hair. But women don't necessarily listen to that. So no, so I don't buy that the reason that many black women do not like their own natural hair is because black men prefer straight hair. I don't buy that. I don't think that's right. Hey, thanks for hopping on, Sir Anthony. For those of you who are on, please get the likes up, tag anybody on this who you think might find it interesting. I just went over a treat where gosh, I keep on forgetting her. Rhodesia Harris, this is Ti's daughter, where she basically was sharing how she hated her hair, and I appreciated her. I appreciated her being honest about it. Now she got a ton of hate. She had people on there who was just like, "Oh, you shouldn't be saying this," and then there's very many women who are chiming in like, "Yeah, I feel you. Like I don't like wearing my hair natural. I don't like wearing the hair that grows out of my head because when I do, I feel as if I'm a crazy woman. I look like I'm an alien," and I'm like, that is sickness. That's not just like, oh, okay, well, that's just how she feels. Like, if you have an entire community of women who generally do not feel comfortable with what grows out of their head, they haven't even learned how to take care of it and value it. Yeah, that's a problem. So, and as I was saying earlier, it's sad that there's an industry created to profit off of, I feel like, Black women's insecurities in that way. Um, but I think I'm starting to see a lot more naturals. I follow a few 4C naturals who have 3A, 3B, high porosity, low porosity. Like I'm starting to see that there's that the tide is slowly shifting, but it's still very real that I think when a woman wants to feel like, okay, I'm the top of the top, I'm the most beautiful, you're getting those edges laid, you're getting the lace front, you're getting a weave. And I'm like, what is it going to take to change that mindset and to know that actually what God made is not a mistake? Actually, what grows out of your head is not a mistake. There's actually something beautiful about that. The Black Panthers have the game right, embrace the fro. Yeah, no, I love the fro. I really do. And I can say, no, I would be I guess what's the word? Like I would be insincere if I was to say that I didn't hear it, because I heard growing up the same thing, about having straight hair, about straight hair being desirable, stuff like that. And some of that I do think is more generational than anything, because there was a good amount of my childhood where I felt like, man, like black men only like straight hair, or men only like straight hair, or men only like hair like this. Like I low key believed that for a while, and it wasn't until I actually started dating and interacting with other people that I was like, oh, I don't. This is just a lie. But very much you may have those church mothers, or those aunties, or people in the older generation where they are very much steeped in that mindset of like it has to be straight, and they themselves feel comfortable. Like I know this. I mean, I know older women who I love and look up to who very much struggle to wear their own natural hair. So I do know some of the stuff is just things that have been passed on generationally, but it's like, okay, if we know better, we can do better. We can start to figure out, okay, what are the things that we can do to actually maintain our hair so that it is working for us? Because I talked about this in my previous video where the one time I decided to do a sew-in because partially because I wanted the experience. Another reason because I just wanted my hair to be a certain way for my wedding. Another reason because I wanted to talk on it. There was a whole bunch of different reasons, but I did it for about a month. And I was going through the whole process, and I'm just like, you actually have to learn the personality of this foreign hair. And to me, I found that kind of strange. I was like, you go through all this time sewing this stuff in, trying to find the right consistency, and then you have to learn this hair. And I'm like, man, like, what if I put that same amount of energy into learning my own hair texture? But I think the thing about it is, there's still some women out there, and I do understand also in certain areas, in certain like social climates, it's not as acceptable to wear your hair natural. And in those places, some women may feel like they feel embarrassed, or they feel like they don't have the tools. They literally don't know how to deal with their own hair because they spent so much time learning how to manage a weave. So thank you for those of you who have hopped on. Please get the likes up, tag anybody on here you think may find this interesting. We're talking a little bit about black hair, and one of the reasons I feel like Black women, we really should start to just embrace the hair that grew out of our head, especially those, Christian women out there, or women who are Christ follower. I'm like, you more than anything, because it's like literally you got in the Bible over here talking about, Christ got hair like wool. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't, how are you going to hate the hair that look like Christ? Like, that don't even make no sense. But like I said, I'm over here trolling. But yeah, so it's unfortunate that some women loathe their natural hair. Just don't blame men for why you feel that way. Yeah, like I agree. I would say I know older men and I know older women who very much share the sentiment of, your hair is too nappy, your hair is too kinky, you need to get it straight. I've heard this from older men and women. So I think it's a little bit it's I think it's you're not telling the whole truth if you just say, oh, this particular people group is guilty of it, or they're guilty of it. It's like, nah, that's no. I like I said, I do think in maybe certain previous generations, yeah, the pressure was more for people to get their hair straight. I mean, even think of Madam C.J. Walker. That's how she became a millionaire, off of teaching women how to get their hair straight. That was her thing. So like, um, we can't just act like the only single reason all these Black women struggle with their appearance is because Black men like straight hair, because that is the furthest thing from the truth. I can't tell you how many men I've talked to who are just like, I actually wish they would take off the hair hat. I actually wish I could see what grew out of their head. That's a lot more affordable. And that way I don't need to guess. I've heard that time and time and time again. So it's like, we got to get rid of that excuse, ladies, because that's just not true. The fact is, we, us women, we like to wear weaves because that makes us feel beautiful. And we can't blame that on anybody else. We can't blame that on men. Now, there are a few men out there who do share that sentiment and who have vocalized that. But that, by and large, I believe, is a small minority. I think most men prefer to actually see women how they look naturally. So I say that because we should not use another person as an excuse. We should not blame this on men. Some of the stuff we just got to take accountability for. Says the ultimate Black woman's beauty validation comes from white men. They don't value what Black men want. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. I think especially for women who are self-hating, or women who wish they were white. I don't know how else to put it, or wish they did look different or lighter, or wish they had Miss Anne syndrome. It's very much the case. Very much the case. So yeah, so I obviously believe women should embrace their natural hair. And again, I'm not saying that you can't try and do things new, because I think a part of a woman, it's fun to try, and it's new. It's fun to experiment. It's fun to do different hairstyles. But I think if you're at the point to where you feel uncomfortable with wearing what grows out of your head, that shouldn't be passed off as like, oh, that's not a big deal. That shouldn't be minimized. Like, that's sad. That's a sad place to be. That's negative. And it's like, okay, we could do better, because God didn't make no mistake. God didn't make no mistake in how he created nobody's hair. Like, I don't believe that. And there's room for everybody to have their own hair texture and love it and look beautiful on them. And the one thing that was really interesting about the tweet that what's her name, Deja Harris said, she was like, I feel like my hair doesn't fit me. She literally said, like, I feel like the hair that grows out of my head does not fit me. And so, of course, there are some people in the comments who are just like, it's your hair. So if your hair doesn't fit you, what does? And like I said, there's a whole bunch of different comments that she got, but many of the women were like, I'm in agreement. And if you are a Black woman, 9 times out of 10, you have felt the pressure of, you have felt the pressure of, okay, maybe I shouldn't love my hair. I mean, it's it's real. It is real. But like I said, there's also a large community of women who are like, I love my hair, and I want to the amount of time that I spend learning how to learning how to care for weaves or maintain weaves or find the newest whatever. I'm going to put that amount of energy into just embracing my own hair and trying to manage it. And I think there needs to be a space for women to grow into that. And I do also recognize that I think there is not as much of an education. I really feel like it wasn't until, or I'll say, yeah, I really feel like it wasn't really until recently, maybe the last decade or so, a little bit more, where I really started to see women embrace their natural on a larger scale. Now, by and large, yeah, when you see the high value Black women, you see celebrities, you see actresses, you see those Instagram models, most of them do have their lace fronts. They do have their edges laid. They do have that like long Kim Kardashian weave. And I don't know if that's why many women feel like they want that, because they associate that long straight hair with wealth, or they associate that long straight hair with getting a high value man. And if that is the case, then I'm like, okay, I mean, that's a personal thing, but I don't necessarily vibe with it. A Black woman's hair offers more possibilities than others. Totally. I totally. Actually, I remember. I remember one day I was at my one of my friends' house. She's from like Southeast India. She has really, really, really straight hair. And I remember I came over one day, and I think my hair, I just washed my hair, so it was really, really high. And then I think something happened where I was playing with it and I was like pulling it. And then she looks at it and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like she was so intrigued. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it can like be that short and that long and just one moment. Like she was really intrigued. And I remember us having a conversation, and she was like, "Wow, like your hair is like so cool. You can do so many different versatile things with it." And I'm talking to an Indian woman, and I'm thinking of this situation, and to me it's really funny because I can think of so many Black women who spend time trying to get Indian women's hair, literally. I mean, there's an entire industry of like based upon hair theft, where people in India have to like make sure their hair doesn't get stolen and end up on a Black woman's hair in like, I don't know, you know what I mean, out here. So I'm thinking back about a conversation and I'm laughing that here's an Indian woman like intrigued and complimenting my hair because the shrinkage. It's like it's here and then you straighten it and it's down here. And I'm just thinking, like, man, if we could just embrace what God gave us, just embrace what God gave us. Like, we it doesn't have to be anybody else. It shouldn't have to be anybody else. Like, it should be what God gave us. So I mean, I don't know. I know this is going to be it's an ongoing conversation. And as long as people to dis, continue to hate themselves or continue to think that's okay, then there's really nothing you can do. But I can say, as far as I'm concerned, as far as me, I hope and pray and encourage women with all different kinds of textures to embrace it and to learn how to make it work for you. And I also don't think it's normal, and I don't think that it should be dismissed, that if you actually legitimately feel uncomfortable with the hair that comes out of your head, if you feel like I am not beautiful with what God made me or God gave me, then that's a problem. I think that actually should be addressed. So yeah, really, I enjoy the variety our hair offers. And it says, okay, why is it hard for sisters to embrace their naturalness? Do they feel naked? Naked, no nails, weaves, lashes, makeup? That's actually a really good question. I alluded to this earlier. I don't know. Usually, when we see women who are considered of high value, or women, not even not, I can't even say high value. When we see celebrities, let's just call it what it is. When we see celebrities and the women that are married to celebrities, like the Real Housewives kind, they have that look. They kind of have the Instagram look, like, with the long lace front, the lashes, the long lace front, the lashes, the those nails, like they have that look. And we see that with some of the artists. I mean, obviously, like the Cardi B's of the world, like they see that all the time. And so I don't know if consciously or subconsciously they associate that look with wealth. I tend to think that women think that, okay, the wealthiest men, or the men that they want, desire that kind of look. And so that's why there's this pressure to look like an Instagram model, or to look like something that you see off of a screen that's fake versus real. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know, but I think that's a real pressure. I think that's a real pressure. So it said, imagine if Black men were socialized to straighten our hair. I will say, I've seen, I don't know if it's like Latin America. I've seen a few Black men like do conks. I see this a lot more, I think, in like athletes from like different countries. And to me, it doesn't look right. And I will say, my husband told me, he was like, okay, the way that you look at those Black men who are straightening their hair, that's how a lot of Black men are looking at Black women when they be having these long weaves. They're thinking, her hair does not look like that. Her hair does not grow out of her hair like that. That's honestly what a lot of men are thinking. So Orlando Brown. Yeah. I don't know if he's one, but okay, so it says, the minute a white man says he prefers a Black woman natural, she drops everything. When a Black man says the same, she calls him cheap, controlling of women's bodies, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you actually yeah. I'm not going to say that's a general statement that's true for everybody, but yeah, that's facts. I have witnessed that. So there is some racialization that goes into that. Yeah, Black men broke away hair straight. Well, yeah. I mean, we haven't Black men they're not really straightening their hair like that, like really at all. That was like decades ago. But like I said, I've seen that in other countries. But again, the main thing is, I do honestly feel that at the very least, on a subconscious level, when Black women, when they look online, when they look on media, when they look at the movie stars and look at the celebrities, and let's just be honest, a lot of women look to those people as their role models. They just do. I don't really know why. We may not even necessarily admit it, but especially if you grow up maybe not with a strong family, not with a strong, parental influence, not a strong relationship with your parents, whatever it may be. A lot of people, they look to those people. They look to celebrities. They look to, singers and songwriters as role models. And so we see that look. We see the long unnatural weaves. We see the long unnatural lashes, that heavy makeup, those body shapers, those unnatural body proportions. We see that pushed. We don't see the natural hair. We don't see the natural bodies. We don't see the 4C. Like, we don't see that associated with the women that have the money. And so, sometimes I just wonder if at the very least on a subconscious level, if women are thinking, okay, I'm trying to look like the women that have money. I'm trying to look like the women who end up with the men that have money. And if that's why they feel like, oh, well, this is why I'm wearing this weave or I'm wearing this kind of hair because the kind of guy that I like wants this. When I'm thinking, okay, I don't necessarily want to think that's totally the truth. Secondly, it's like, if you're basing your beauty standards off of like, the 0.01 or 0.2%, if you're basing your beauty standards off of celebrities, how they date and how they mate is a completely different world, then yeah, that can lead maybe to some dissatisfaction long term. Because how do you measure up to a fantasy, or how do you measure up to something, like I said, that's just not based upon the way most people actually live? I don't know. That's just a theory I have. So anyways, says, if imitation is the highest form of flattery, flatter Blackness, right? It says, Black women wear fake hair to feel the closest to white women, their standard of beauty. They project that into Black men though. Oh, so you're saying that you feel that Black women blame Black men for their need to have a weave, but they actually just want to look like white women. Now that I, again, I would be lying if I was to say that I haven't talked to many Black women who have envied, who have literally envied the hair from another culture. So the scars go deep. Sometimes the self hate goes deep, but as for me, I definitely feel like there at least needs to be an acknowledgement that, hey, if you legitimately hate what God gave you, what is coming out of your hair, that is not good. And maybe we shouldn't overlook it. Maybe we shouldn't just put a weave on it or a lace front on it and just call it a day. Maybe we should really address, why do you actually feel that way? And not only why, like, what can be done to make you feel comfortable what's coming with what God actually gave you. And that's an individual journey. I think that isn't just like happen overnight. But I think so often, women just live with that self-hate and they just kind of normalize it. And I'm like, I don't think that should be normal. I don't think Black women should accept that them being uncomfortable with the hair that God has given them is just normal. They should just hate what God gave them. They should just hate how they look, and that's it. So those are just my personal thoughts. But let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. If you mentioned the psychological impact that Eurocentric standards and hip hop culture has on Black children, those celebs and fans that participate will deflect and call you a misogynist hater. No, yeah, no, that's real. I'm actually have a. I'm gonna do a whole video on Black beauty standards and what that means. I'm excited about it. I've done a lot of research on this. And I think it's going to kind of help address some of the things that you guys mentioned, because a Black beauty standard does actually exist. We hear a lot about Eurocentric beauty standards. We hear a lot about, oh, well, the colorism, featurism, texturism, but I've rarely, if ever, heard somebody articulate clearly what is the Black beauty standard. And the thing about it is existed. It's existed for centuries. It's existed since way before, many of us even came over to America. So I have a whole separate video I'm going to do on that to really start to address and maybe set a standard to be like, hey, you women who are talking about Eurocentric beauty standards oppressing you or not wanting to fit into Eurocentric beauty standards, well, this is what a Black beauty standard or African-centered beauty standard actually is. Because like I said, we can't just be flowing around Eurocentric beauty standards while not actually addressing, well, what is a Black beauty standard? Because oftentimes I hear, oh, this is Eurocentric beauty standard is oppressing me, while the woman is wearing a very long weave, blonde weave, colored weave, like very much wearing hair that didn't come from her head. And I'm like, okay, so you don't want to be Eurocentric. What does it mean to be Black African centered? Since that's obviously where you came from. So that's going to be a whole nother conversation. But so yeah, but anyway, so thank you for those of you guys who've just hopped on. I'm actually going to need to hop off because I have a meeting coming up. But those are my thoughts. Those are my concerns. So anyways, if you like this, get the likes up, tag anybody on this who you think may find it interesting. Feel free to share it, and we will talk later. Bye.